Hello everybody, welcome to Center Stage. I'm Rajiv, and today I'm very excited to have Richard Blatcher, Director of Industry Marketing and Business Intelligence from Pros. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity, Rajiv.
Awesome. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about Pros and what the company does?
Sure. We're a SaaS-based software company, ultimately. We've been going for just over 3 decades.
Okay.
And we are at the heart of this whole digital commerce revolution
Transformation.
that has been going on, and digital transformation is a great expression.
Mm-hmm.
So we help organizations, they tend to be enterprise organizations with revenue probably more than 300, 400 or $500 million.
Okay.
And we help them improve their whole sales and customer experience through improving the pricing and the selling people and process and technologies and their approach.
Got it.
We started in the airline industry those many years ago, and you'll see that the majority of those airline prices are processed through our technology.
Okay.
And then with so much of that data and so much of that knowledge about the optimization of that whole experience that the airlines have been very, very I would say innovative for, that has rapidly transferred into other industries, so transport and logistics, manufacturing, process and discrete manufacturers, distribution, other service organizations are now adopting the technology and that approach to ultimately their number one challenge is to grow revenue.
Sure.
So that's our technology, improving that pricing and that selling, applying that approach enables them to grow revenue.
Got it. Yeah, so we were talking a little bit before we started this interview about the platform and how sort of you have this dynamic artificial intelligence platform. Tell us more about that and how it relates to commerce in general.
Sure. So as I mentioned, Rajiv, the number one challenge for the majority of our customers and companies that we engage is to grow revenue.
Yep.
So one of the biggest effects that you can have on growing that revenue is through the optimization of pricing. So it's pricing based on the willingness to pay. It's an optimal price. It's not just the old-fashioned cost plus mentality.
Okay.
It also, the biggest effect on revenue can be that whole selling experience as well. So the platform uses artificial intelligence at the foundation of the technology that we offer companies. So when we say artificial intelligence, of course, if you think about the billions of transactions that go through every day. In fact, on behalf of our customers, we process annually probably over 1 trillion transactions.
You're saying more than...
Well, it's several times even Visa.
More than Visa.
So
right.
Think of all of that data and all of that information and all of that knowledge that is built very rapidly and very dynamically on transactional history, on market data, on these various trends. So then companies can apply artificial intelligence, because trying to do that number of transactions manually is very difficult.
Sure.
So you can do that automatically. You can feed back that information in, improve that experience. So very, very rapidly and very dynamically, as you mentioned. The companies that we help are improving their profitability, they're improving their margin, but ultimately they're growing their revenue through improving the experience. So it's a modern experience. Think about Netflix, think about Amazon, think about Uber, think about that customer expectations that the new generation are expecting and demanding. They're not hoping, it's an expectation.
Sure.
That has evolved into business-to-business environments.
Yeah, so we were talking about sort of my airline experience recently, where I was booking a flight and I input a bunch of data about my family and my profile. And the experience was actually not the best, because I tried to book seats together for my family. It didn't work. I actually had to then pick up the phone and call customer service. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts there.
That's the perfect example of that company would have enough data on you and your family to be able to give you that tailored experience, where your motivation is probably more you want to keep your family together. You don't want your young children elsewhere on the plane. So if they could offer you that, ensure that, and price it and cost it most efficiently in an optimal fashion for you, you would be more likely to book that seat
to convert
and convert,
right.
which of course is a massive challenge for many companies. And of course loyalty is a big thing. They want your loyalty. They want you to book again and again because you've got more choices than you've ever had.
That's right.
That I would say is a great example of that modern experience, and you were probably maybe doing it on your phone, and then you were saying, well, I'm frustrated that I have to call.
Right.
But as long as you've got consistency, if you can reduce that friction and that, I can't do what I want, I've now got to call, I've got to wait, it takes up time. Time is a massive new currency.
That's right.
Therefore, I think companies that adopt that approach will get better conversion rates, better loyalty, and again, better growth.
They're going to win.
Yeah,
going to win in this new era.
Well, that's what the data tells you,
the
right?
On-demand era.
Win rates go up, right?
Right,
and and we talked about artificial intelligence, and we mentioned before the interview about machine learning, which is a part of artificial intelligence. But that feedback loop is so important because by offering you those seats and offering you that experience, did you book those tickets? Did you place that order?
Right.
And the more knowledge you put in, the better it becomes and the more optimal. And you think of the billions of transactions we do and knowledge we have in airline, in cargo, in manufacturing, in services, we can help companies do that approach.
Yes.
But they have to adopt that approach. They have to think about change management, the people and the processes, not just the technology to offer that experience.
So let's talk about that. So how do you, from a marketing perspective, how do you communicate that effectively and efficiently to the right decision makers in these industries to understand that this type of change is really required in order to adapt and innovate and stay ahead of sort of the curve?
And that's a great question. I think a lot of decision makers and influencers in those companies, I use the expression of joining the dots. They may not join the dots of the fact that that type of experience has such a dramatic effect on revenue, right? And of course profitability.
Right.
So I think a lot of what we do in marketing within pros is very early on offer a lot of information specific to those challenges and specific in joining the dots. I wouldn't say it's about the technical aspects of segmentation, pricing waterfalls and products and configured price quote systems initially, although that's of course important. Initially we talk about those challenges specific to those industries. We talk about those for the different personas at the C level, maybe people that are in charge of pricing, people that are in charge of selling, and adjust that message accordingly. So when you tailor, you practice what you preach, you tailor that message, give them that information that they need, then
they're more likely.
They're better informed, and they have a better understanding of the benefits of that type of technology, and that type of approach can bring. And it's part of, I would say, nearly all of your listeners, your watchers, your viewers are in some form of digital transformation journey. Right. And I would argue that it's nearly half and half with some of the research I've seen, but there are a set of people that are really kind of digitally challenged. They are struggling. They are on a journey. They're not necessarily getting the return that they had hoped for or they had planned for or as quick as they have hoped for or have planned for. And then you have the kind of the people that embrace that approach. So they have a plan, they have the right influences, they have the right people, they're looking at the right processes that they can digitize and improve that has that effect, and they are probably more successful. They're certainly more profitable and they certainly do more revenue when you look at those people that have a better plan around digitization, digital transformation. Right. We've looked at surveys by IDC and Gartner, and they are more profitable than those kind of digitally challenged. So there is a divide out there, and I think that technology and approaches such as ours can help a lot of companies achieve that, and probably more quickly than they think. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So maybe you can give us an example where you had to sort of think outside the box on a strategic marketing initiative and sort of the impact and results it had by thinking a little bit more innovatively.
I think it's to that point of when you are talking about the technology that we offer, when you're talking about the problems that our customers have, they're very complex. So I think the innovation that we bring and we've brought, particularly with the type of technology that we offer, is trying to make the complex very simple. There's increased complexity in technology, there's increased complexity in manufacturing process, in everybody's kind of day-to-day world, and there's the increased, everybody's in a permanent state of distraction, right?
Yeah.
So true. I think if we can make our message very simple,
sure,
and very effective and very compelling and very tailored, that's had the most effect on the engagement companies have with us and other companies, I've been with before, and other people in this space. You find that if you can make it simple, then you get just a better engagement. And our results, we are in marketing with a company like Pros, your indicators are, of course, our own revenue and our profitability and our pipeline and our alignment and driving of sales. Then we can equate that simplicity and that compelling message to better pipeline and better conversion rates ourselves.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think there's definitely an art to simplifying messaging, and that's something that every marketer needs to know how to do.
Yeah,
I think in order to do your job effectively, it's really about how you position and simplify the message so those influencers and decision makers understand at a certain level what the value proposition is, and then to your point, you can dig deeper on the details with other internal thought leaders and folks that can really then drive home the value proposition from a more technical perspective, etc.
And another trend that we've seen is there is an increasing number of people that are involved in that whole decision-making process, whether it's our software, whether it's B2B transactions. I mean, we find that an average business-to-business transaction probably involves 8, 9, 10, 11 people, right?
Right.
And sometimes they're teams.
Right.
So to your earlier point, the simplicity and the relevance of that message, somebody who's working in IT needs to know about integration, about APIs, and about how the technology works.
Right.
A C-level individual will be more interested in what's the return, how quickly, what's involved. Somebody in selling is, well, how do I need to improve my processes?
Right.
What does this mean? How do I make a change? Somebody in pricing is more interested in the segmentation and how does that work? What are the models?
Right.
So you've got to kind of tailor that message, and a lot of B2B companies are doing that, and they're just finding better results. But it's a challenge.
Different personas, different stakeholders, different decision makers require different messaging. Right. Which is still a holistic solution that you're providing.
And it's joining the dots.
And joining the dots.
To make them talk to each other. They can't work in silos anymore.
Right.
And another trend I think that certainly we've been seeing is that going away is that traditional sales cycle, right? You start at the beginning, and you go through 4 stages, and you get to an end and make a decision. We're finding it's more of a pinball table, so people are moving around backwards and forwards.
It's not linear.
No, right. And I think that's a great point. And one of your kind of questions that you prepared me for was, which channel would I say is the best channel?
Yes.
I don't think there is a single channel that's the best channel. I think having a good mix and consistency through those channels, which enables that kind of nonlinear approach, enables people to enter and exit and work together and discuss and decide in that more flexible manner.
Makes
because
sense.
I think that's important.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about sort of the business intelligence part of your position.
Sure.
What challenges do you face regarding business intelligence, and how have you overcome them? Can you share any sort of tips in terms of balancing this position?
Probably one word: data.
Okay.
So that's an opportunity. That's a challenge. That's a solution. I think if you have good data, and it links very much to a lot of what we've already been talking about with the platforms that we even offer.
Right.
But one of the biggest challenges when I talk about business intelligence, we're looking at segments which we have a great ability to execute. Where are our opportunities? What industry segments should and could we move into? We look at competitive intelligence, we look at industry trends, and a lot of it is based on data.
Yes.
So if you have good, accurate, up-to-date data, I would challenge probably any of your viewers to look at their own internal sales and marketing database and not be appalled, right?
All right.
Because a lot of people have data. Do they maintain it? Probably not. Do they have the right NAICS codes? Do they have the right amount of annual revenue? Do they have the right segmentation data? Probably not.
Right.
Do they have a dedicated resource to keep that information up to date outside of their Salesforce? Probably not. So my tip would be, look at the data, have a resource to keep the data up to date, and then with that reliable internal and external data, you can start to take the emotion out of the decisions, put the data in there to support
logic.
Where you're going to go in 6 months, in 6 years, in 60 years time.
Love it. Great tip. Let's see. Can you tell us how you have used influencers to drive awareness of the Pros brand and support demand creation?
Another great question, Rajiv. I think there's a mixture. I mean, the biggest effect I've seen is by advocates that are probably our own customers. We have a set of very passionate users. We've had customers that have been with us since day one, so they're decades old.
1985.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And but I think, and we have really fantastic renewal rates, because we're a software as a service company, you want those customers to continue and not churn, and we have great rates. And they are our best advocates. So they talk about those challenges, they talk about their journey. So I think they are probably our best influencers, as well as, of course, journalists and influencers and bloggers and analysts that in our enterprise software world are very, very influential and important. So I think, again, it's kind of a mix.
The mix, yeah.
The most compelling conversations I see are when customers get together, and there may be early customers that talk to other early customers, and we had our user conference Outperform last week in Las Vegas.
We were just talking about this.
Yeah, so I'm still in recovery mode, of course, so you have to forgive me.
No problem.
But the best conversations and the best interaction were between those users and those customers. We had customers who knew, we had customers, prospects that were thinking, and when they start to talk together, that's super, super compelling, which is part of the umbrella of, of course, your IDCs and your Gartners and your Forresters are absolutely important with the credibility that one requires. But for me, the really most interesting influence are those customers that we have. And we have a great community of users across those industries that I mentioned.
Makes a lot of sense. We sort of touched on this, but we were talking again before we were on camera about some of the trends that really excites you in terms of the industry and marketing 3 years from now, 5 years from now. What are you seeing in terms of the trends that you've identified that are exciting to you?
I think the biggest trend is this whole digitalization, this digital transformation. I think, but I don't think digitalization is an or. So you wouldn't engage with a company digitally or with human interaction. I think it's an and they're equally important. But I think that speed and immediacy is an expectation, and that's driving so much. So there's so much information available to people now, and they've got to kind of get through it to get to what they need.
Right.
So I think one of the most exciting trends for our customers and also for us is embracing the technologies available, putting the right technology, the right people, and the right processes in place in those areas which have the most influence on your business goals, be it growth, be it farm and industrial distributor, it's going to be margin, whatever KPIs you have. So for me, that's probably the most exciting trend is that digitization, not at the expense of other interaction. It's another important channel.
Got it. One more question, and then we'll switch gears. In your experience, what is the key to developing a good team?
When it goes wrong, look in the mirror. When it goes well, reward the team, and it is a team, right? You're all in it together. I mean, Pros has a wonderful kind of culture, and it's a team-based culture, and it's a sharing-based culture. And I think the most successful teams that I've been in and I've led, where it is truly a team, you're sharing, and I call it that kind of tribal mentality, that you're getting to a shared goal. And I would include a team as an extended team. So in an industry marketing role, I would include sales leadership and product leadership, as part of that team, because unless you have alignment with those people and those influencers and those important functions around the group, I don't think you can have a successful marketing
Going back to your point, it's not just a silo even internally. These are really important partnerships, sales, product. I would even put customer success in that bucket as well.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. So let's talk about work-life balance. We touched on this a little bit before we came into the room. What do you think about work-life balance and how do you achieve it?
It's tough, but I think one of the most attractive elements of working with pros, our head office is in Houston. Mm-hmm. I live in San Francisco, as you can tell by my accent.
Right.
And we have a satellite office here in the Bay Area. Our head office is in Houston. It's a global role. Mm-hmm. So, of course, work-life balance, travel can be a challenge. Mm-hmm. But the great thing about a company like Pros is giving you the flexibility. So if you need to travel, you travel and work locally or be based in Houston, and there's a good flexibility. We, of course, embrace that technology to be able to have good quality phone conversations, which aren't the classic kind of conference call mentality. Uh-huh. So I would say for work-life balance, have a very supportive and have a very supportive family, but for sure have flexibility. And Pros has a great culture of respect, flexibility, and great people.
That's great. Let's talk about daily habits or rituals. Do you have any kind of daily habit or ritual that helps you stay more focused or be more productive?
Less is more. I think try and focus on the important, maybe not the urgent. Mm-hmm. Try to be not as distracted as maybe it's tempting to be. Your new email comes in or a new call. So I think just keeping focus on those important initiatives. And I think you can have many, many different initiatives and many projects and many events and many, there's lots of things going on. But I think for me, less is more and trying to keep focused.
I like that.
Do I achieve that every day? No.
Sure.
But that's certainly the mantra.
Sure. It's an ongoing practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you have a superpower, what would that be?
I hope, if I had a superpower, the law of simplicity, I think. I'd just like to try and keep things simple.
Keep it simple, less is more. It's
and just
theme.
Get things done. I mean, there is a different word to it and a different acronym, but if you can get things done and it's moving the needle and it's generating revenue, which is why we're here, then I think that would be my superpower. So, Lord of Simplicity.
Lord of Simplicity. There you go.
I don't know why I use the word law. Probably because Game of Thrones has just finished.
Right. Yeah, but we won't talk about that.
No. That's a big gap to fill for a lot of people.
Yes, it is. So that's really all the questions I had. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I've really appreciated the opportunity. I think the key thread through all of this, and thank you for the questions, has been this modern customer experience. And it's not just about the technology; it is about the people and the processes. And I think, irrespective of whether you're in the airline industry, the cargo industry, manufacturing industry, distribution industry, all of these different industries, the central core and the central challenge is offering this new, frictionless, personalized, tailored experience.
Yes.
If you embrace that and get that right, then you will grow and you will certainly be more profitable. And we've seen a lot of that with a lot of our customers, a lot of research. So that's probably my key takeaway for the folks watching this segment.
Makes a lot of sense. Richard Blatcher, Director, Industry Marketing and Business Intelligence at Pros. Thank you so much for your time, Richard.
Well, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is Rajiv from Center Stage. See you next time.